Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our participants from both Facebook and YouTube, and welcome to our StackLeague Session Journey from Developer to Manager. I am Isai, and I will be your host for tonight's event. So, before we proceed with our talk this evening, I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions about the session, feel free to type them in the comment section and we will be addressing them later during the Q&A session. Also, to help the Stack League team improve the sessions for you, make sure to answer these questions after the live session. So here is the link for our feedback form. So you could access it by going to bit.ly/ StackLeague Sessions Feedback. That's bit.ly/StackLeague Sessions Feedback. Or you can simply scan the QR code flashed on your screen. All right. So hello everyone, welcome, and don't forget to type in your name and from what place, no? For kung saan kayo galing. So don't forget that one. And again, if you have any questions during the talk, we will be addressing and answering them later during our Q&A session. And to also promote, if you are interested to take a software developer career in 4 months with no prior coding knowledge required, you are invited to join our bootcamp info session, which will be happening this July 8th, this Friday. Okay, so just simply go to stacktrek.eventbrite.com to automatically receive full details via email. So this will be our batch 2 for our full stack bootcamp. And before we dive into tonight's session, we would like to give you a short overview of Stack League. King Bartolome of Stack League will help me with that. King? King, I think you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. All right, so thank you, Isai, for introducing me. Again, my name is King, and I will be giving an overview of Stack League, especially if it's your first time to join a Stack League event. All right, so moving forward, just to give you an idea, Stack League is the Philippines' largest online programming league. Our mission is to develop programming leaders to inspire the nation into coding. And of course, the tournament is powered by StackTrek's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform. Now that Stack League is in its second competitive year, it wouldn't be possible without the help of our or without the support of our partners. And we're very fortunate to be supported by the top companies in the industry. So we have our silver sponsor, the Coding Chiefs, and we also have our bronze sponsors, Microsoft, Deltec Systems, Apper.ph, Recruit Day, Gcash, and our new sponsor, Dalikha IT. And our media partners, we have Spark Up, Apps Gadget, What's Up Pilipinas, Corner Magazine PH, Android Desk, Megabytes, Backend News, Blue Wing, and Manila Republic. And of course, the same goes for our community partners who help the league reach as many programmers in the country as possible. So here they are. All right, so this Pioneering Programming League was launched last year of March 16, 2021, and is now gathering over 10,000 tech talents across the country to test their leadership, perseverance, and coding skills. And of course, with a promise of nationwide media recognition, lots of prizes, thousands of tech job opportunities, and access to invitation-only events. And just to spark up your motivation to join the league's year-round cash prize pool is now at 10 million pesos in the duration of the whole competition. And of course, one of the highlights in Stack League is the weekly stack race for both individual and team categories. So each week, the top 10 challengers and top 3 teams are going to be announced all across Stack League's social media channels or social media platform to recognize the challengers who stayed on top of the rankings. And apart from this, we also have the Stack League featured programmer and team campaign. The weekly top 10 challengers and top 3 teams are going to be announced and featured on StackLeague's website and social media channels. And of course, for our players or for our participants in Stack League, we will be hosting numerous tech and career sessions all throughout the year. So aside from this, or apart from this, there are also exclusive trainings available for ranking up to the next challenger levels. So these events and trainings are all for free. So all you have to do is sign up on Stack League. And of course, we also have our Stack League Ambassador Program. It is a year-round initiative to reward Stack League challengers who go beyond the competition and inspire the nation into coding. So to tell you more about the Stack League Ambassador Program, here is a short clip for you to see. And there you have it. So if you want to be the next Stack League ambassador and win the cash prize and t-shirt, the program is now open for July. So you can find the full mechanics at our website. It's bit.ly/Stack League Ambassador 2022. All right, so moving forward, for the ranking system and the initial competition, there are 5 programming languages supported in Stack League. So we have JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and PHP. And now for the ranking system, this is how it works. So after signing up, you will start at the bottom with 0 points, and all you have to do is solve as many challenges as you can, and you will earn corresponding points. So the more points you earn, the higher your ranking goes. And once you have accumulated enough points, you can now get to the next challenge level. You can get to the next level challenges where more opportunities are unlocked for you to access. And of course, we have our 3 challenger levels. We have bronze, silver, and gold levels. And the new thing for this year's challenger level up are the prizes. So once you unlock bronze level, you will receive 100 pesos. And once you unlock silver level, you will also receive 100 pesos. And lastly, if you unlock gold level, you will receive 300 pesos for a total of 500 pesos. And now for our individual category, there is also the Stack League Treasure Chest individual category, wherein the top 10 or the weekly top 10 challengers will each receive 500 cash prize. And of course, we also have the Stack League Playoffs. It is a single elimination tournament featuring all monthly qualifiers where all weekly top 10 are where all weekly top 10 challengers will automatically be invited to the monthly qualifier round. So you can read the full mechanics at bit.ly/Stack League Playoffs 2022. And to know more, here is another clip for you. And lastly, if you're interested in testing your skill in a time-bound programming competition, such as Stack League Playoffs, but you couldn't get to the weekly top 10, the Lightning Series is open to all non-gold level challengers. So you can find the full mechanics at bit.ly/Lightning Series mechanics, and the schedule for the month of July has been posted. So please take note that you will receive an email for the invitation. And I think that's it for the overview of Stack League. And remember that as a year-round competition or a year-round tournament, Stack League is looking for best challengers that can stay up in the ranks and become programming leaders for the long haul. And that's all on my end. Back to you, Isai.
participants and viewers tonight, if you don't have a Stack League account yet, make sure to create an account at stackleague.com and be part, or who knows, you could be one of our winners in the competition or in one of our mini competitions in the league. And without further ado, so let us not delay any further. I would like to introduce to you our resource speaker for tonight. Okay, our resource speaker is currently the project lead at Pointwest Innovations Corporation, and he has 14 years of experience in the IT industry as software developer, architect, trainer, and manager. He is also a certified Scrum Master and certified Google Cloud Architect. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to Eliel Goco.
Okay, thank you, Isai, for welcoming me. And good evening to everyone. And welcome to my talk about the journey from developer to manager. First, a few disclaimers. Um, First is in this talk, the ideas I will share are my own and don't represent the ideas of my company or my other affiliations. Second is the ideas I present may or may not work for you because I will be sharing from not just on the conceptual level or on the theoretical level, but I will also be sharing from my own experiences, and your experiences may be different. So your mileage may vary. And lastly, the PubMat photo was from 9 years ago, and ganito na yung itsura ko ngayon. So I apologize. It's not false advertising. It's just life. Ayan. So what is this talk about? And who is this talk for? I hope that my fellow developers are joining tonight, and but at the same time also my fellow technical managers. So to those who are already managers, I hope that this talk will affirm the career path that you took. To developers who are aspiring to be managers, I hope I can help you reach the goal of becoming a manager by sharing with you strategies that you can follow right away. And to my fellow developers who are not yet thinking of becoming managers, or who are avoiding it, I want to share with you compelling reasons why you should still consider the career path as a manager. So, what's my qualifications for talking about this? Let me share with you a little bit about my background, and this will also serve as the context for what I want to share with you. And hopefully, you can also learn from this, because while there's a framework in arriving at the manager career path, um, what I will share will be more from my experiences rather than from a theoretical standpoint, because I believe it will be more useful to you to learn from what I learned the hard way. Because I myself started as a Java developer back in 2008. So back then, we did not yet have the sophisticated technologies that we are taking for granted right now. So our technologies back then were very old, and cloud technologies were not yet proliferate. So it was a challenge to be a developer even back then. And in those times, I was a very technical focused person. I was what you could say a hardcore developer. And even as I moved up in my career, I often chose the technical path. So that's why in 2012, I was the architect for Centerpoint, one of our company's SaaS offerings. And you can actually check out the link below that I'm showing at the bottom of my slides if you want to see what Centerpoint is about. So in the span of those 4 years, I leveled up from a junior developer to a senior developer to an architect. But I also did not neglect my soft skills, because actually as an architect, you need to also have people skills. You need to be able to sell the solution that you come up with. And so I went out of my comfort zone, and in 2013 I became a TESDA certified bootcamp trainer. So during that time, aside from my development projects, aside from writing proposals for clients as an architect or consultant, I was also um, training our incoming junior developers. And I felt accomplishment in mentoring people. That's why it's because of this that I accepted more of leadership roles aside from the technical roles. So I really was not, during this time I was not really sold in terms of being a manager, or the thought of becoming a manager, but uh, this my being a trainer was the connection, because I felt accomplishment in mentoring people. So in 2015, I was also a Scrum Master, although I was only certified in 2021. And a few years later, in 2018, I have been a project lead since 2018 up to now. So just to remove any confusion, although the title is project lead, the responsibilities are essentially that of a technical manager or an associate manager. So ever since 2018, I have been managing projects. So in trying to stay relevant on the technical aspect of my career, I was also certified as Google Cloud Architect in 2021. So overall, my background was a good mix of the technical and management aspects. But it doesn't mean that I was always comfortable with both aspects. It's true, and um, I was still passionate about being a developer. Um, I was and I am still passionate about the technical or the developer side of things. Meanwhile, I did not necessarily like the management or soft skills aspect, because these two roles are really very different from each other. From the skills required to the day to day tasks, they are very different. So, just to give you an idea, here's an example of a day in the life of a developer versus a manager. So let's see a snapshot of a day in the life of a developer. So developers, usually they will attend daily status meetings in the morning, and then they have a large block of time for deeply focused work, mainly on coding and researching, and maybe toward the end of the day, some status reporting. So they are able to have large blocks of time to themselves, because they need this to be able to bring out their creativity and analytical thinking. But if you are a senior developer, you might have more varied tasks aside from coding, and you might have less of the focus time in a week, but you still capitalize on the technical side of a project. For example, you might do code reviews, mentoring, maintaining the tools, some admin tasks, and proposing solutions to clients or to upper management. On the other hand, let's see the day in the life of a manager. In the morning, he may have 2 to 3 daily status meetings. So he might be leading those status meetings, or he might delegate to a team lead. He might have 1 to 2 client calls. And then later on, he might have 1 to 2 interviews. He might need to interview a few applicants to join his team. And then later, he might have 1 to 2 coaching and performance evaluation sessions, so that he can coach his team members to performing well. And a few days in a week, he might collaborate on 1 to 2 proposals, maybe with business analysts and architects and other managers. And toward the end of the day, he might be doing some project monitoring and reports. And on top of that, he might have an open door policy. So anytime his team members might approach him or his superiors might approach him for any help they might need. So as you can see, a manager doesn't have as much of the long periods to work alone. They have much shorter blocks of focus time sandwiched in between meetings with different people. And I have experienced this myself, the big difference between the two roles that I've played. And the main differences become obvious. Developers are attuned to getting in the zone for one single task, mainly coding, and they can stay in the zone for long periods of time. Meanwhile, managers they need to be able to switch focus between different tasks quickly. Although that does not mean they need to be multitaskers. It simply means they need to quickly get in the zone with whatever their current priority is, and they have shorter periods of time for that. And in terms of communication, I've observed that developers tend to communicate ideas in a more technical way. So they explain in terms of the low level code, in terms of the technologies, the effectiveness of the frameworks that they use, things like that. Meanwhile, managers need to communicate ideas to different types of audiences. So they need to communicate in terms of the high level features and benefits of whatever application they are working on, because they need to explain it to people who may not necessarily have a technical background. And so this is just a slice or a snapshot of the day to day of a manager. When we look at the bigger or the higher overview, the broader overview, the role of a manager will actually look much more complex, because we were just looking at a small slice of a manager's work earlier. At a broader view, there are many aspects that a manager needs to be knowledgeable, and this is what I struggled with, because these are what I needed to be good at in managing. For example, um, what I'm going to show you is like a pyramid of management. At the bottom of the pyramid, as a manager, I'm handling one or more projects. So in relation to projects, I need to manage them in terms of their scope, the quality of the work, the schedule, making sure that we are on schedule, and making sure that the costs are controlled for the project. And on top of that, I also need to be good at managing people. So aside from managing my own team, I need to manage the stakeholders, clients, non-technical people, and I need to manage how to communicate the right information to the right people at the right time. And on top of that, as you manage more projects, multiple projects, you also need to manage the procurement side, and also taking care of the risks, making sure that there is continuity in the work of the project. And overall, you need to be able to coordinate all of these things. And that is the broader perspective on the management role. So even just looking at this, there are many aspects to it. So if being a manager is very different and very more complex than being a developer, maybe the question is, maybe I should just remain a developer forever. As a developer, why would I want to be promoted to manager? So actually, that was the question I also asked myself years ago. Um, Back around maybe 2010, I said to myself, what if I don't want to be promoted to manager? Can I just be a developer forever? So actually, the answer is a complicated yes and no. And to be able to simplify it, I would like to show you this. Um, there are three aspects. So I don't have like a name for this diagram. Let's just call it the fit diagram. There are three aspects that you would want to look at to be able um, to decide on your next steps in your career. So you can use these three factors to consider to know if your career is a perfect fit for you. First is, do you find it rewarding? So we will call this circle the reward or RW circle. Do you love what you do? And if so, that's one aspect that you might look at. Second is the return or RT for short. Does it give you the most financial return? Does the income support your lifestyle or cost of living? And the third is called requirement or RQ. You ask yourself, is there a requirement for my skills in this industry? Is there a high demand for your capabilities? If you answered yes to all three, then yes, this career is a good fit for you. For example, if you are a developer and you find coding really rewarding, and the salary is high as a developer, and also there is a high demand for your skills. For example, you learned uh, maybe React or whatever is the bleeding edge technology of today, and there is a high demand for your capabilities. So you've hit all of the three aspects. Then yes, that career is for you. But there's just one problem. There's some differences between the three aspects, because only the reward aspect is purely internal to you. This reward aspect, um, you can say that it has no timeline. You can take your time on it, learn it as long as you want. You can take time with your passion for as long as you like. But unfortunately, the other two, the return and the requirement, they actually have a timeline. That's the problem. Because with regards to the return, for example, okay, let's say you still find being a developer rewarding, you still love what you do, but the return, as time goes by, your lifestyle may change, which means you might need more income to support it. On the other hand, on the requirement side, the industry may change, or the IT job market may change. The in-demand skills may change, which means your capabilities may no longer match what companies are looking for. So, for example, even if you are a Python developer in the AI and machine learning um, space, um, we know that the trend in terms of quantum machine learning is fast approaching. So, and it's a very different kind of technology. And once it becomes more popular than the mainstream, then you might be um, challenged to try to catch up. And as time goes by, you might have less time or less energy to try to catch up with these technologies. So it might be true that you still love what you do as a developer. It's still rewarding. It's still your passion. It is still what you want to do. And that's what I mean that the reward is internal to you. Because, for example, for me, I still find coding very rewarding. It is still my passion. But at the same time, we also need to survive. You need to live. That's why it's important for you to remain relevant and well compensated for your level of lifestyle. For example, for me, um, back in 2008 to uh, in the 2010s, um, I'm single. I'm still starting out. I still have no worries in terms of family, in terms of health, um, no financial worries, and Java was still thriving. So I didn't have, I wasn't thinking of this yet. But now, as a veteran developer, it's it's harder to catch up with the newer technologies. So you cannot be an expert of all kinds of technologies. You can only choose one. And if that one technology that you chose is no longer as popular as the newer technologies, then you might struggle with the industry or with the job market. So these things can actually vary during your lifetime. So actually, your career is not a straight line. It can be, there can be ups and downs, and that's what I want to illustrate in this next diagram. Um, let's just call this the your timeline, as your career timeline. The x-axis is your tenure in the software industry, and the y-axis is the fit factor. So we will just multiply requirement multiplied by the return multiplied by the reward. So it means as you progress through your career, how much of the requirement, the return, and the reward are you getting, or are you able to take advantage of? So, for example, to um, to give you an example, in the first phase, it we can call it the starter phase. You still have low experience or no experience at all, so you're still ramping up in terms of meeting the requirement of the industry. In terms of return, you still have a small starting salary. In terms of the reward, you just graduated from an IT course or from computer science or computer engineering course, and you are very excited to apply what you've learned, and you're excited to be a top performer in your new company. So you are just slowly ramping up at the start. And then second phase, you are growing. This is the growth phase. In terms of requirement, you're increasing um, your your capabilities, your aptitude. So there is an increasing demand for your skills because you've acquired experience. And in terms of the returns, um, you might be promoted already, and you might already your salary might already increase. In terms of the reward, you still find it challenging. You are getting deeper and deeper into um, your love for coding. You are learning more complex concepts, but you're also being given more routine tasks. So, for example, when I started in 2008, we were just learning about this new technology called Google Web Toolkit. It was a Java-based framework for designing the user interface. Um, and in my starter phase, I was very excited in learning it and in researching about it and applying it to my new project. And a few years later, during my growth phase, um, I was starting to become to be given team lead tasks. I was leading the team. I was doing more admin tasks, but I was also still coding. I was mentoring other people on Google Web Toolkit. So it's a mix of routine tasks and newer tasks. because, for example, once you move your application to production, um, you still need to maintain it. So you go into maintenance mode and looking for issues, fixing issues. It's not really um, the most enjoyable part of your work. And then later, you might go into maturity. This might be the peak of your career. In terms of requirement, you have acquired valuable knowledge. The industry is becoming more competitive as well. So you are being challenged already um, to learn other skills aside from your own skills. So with my example, um, so we started learning Google Web Toolkit in 2008 to around maybe 2010. Around 2015, Google Web Toolkit was no longer being updated, and actually later on, after less than a year, it became obsolete. It was discontinued. So I needed to learn new technologies, um, and this was the time that I became a Scrum Master for a project that worked um, on the newer Java, the Java 8 Enterprise Edition uh, APIs. So I needed to learn new skills, um, and I needed to level up myself so that I can continue to be competitive in terms of the industry. In terms of the return, since you already have experience with your projects, you already have built knowledge, you will become more valuable to your company or to your team. So you have more negotiating power. But you might also have peaked in terms of um, the promotion, the salary increase. Um, and in terms of reward, um, like in my case, you might be passionate about mentoring other people. So you will be sharing more of your expertise, and that might be you might find that an accomplishment. You might find it that you like to share your expertise with people. But at the same time, you also have less focus. You have less of the focus time that you need for uh, your own work. So if you will notice, this maturity stage includes an uphill, the peak, and the downhill. So this is where you experience both the negative and the positive of the industry. And you might reach the fourth phase, which is the decline. In terms of requirement, you might have outdated skills, like the example I gave before, Google Web Toolkit. If you search it today, it's no longer being updated. It's obsolete. The search results will lead you to inactive websites. In terms of the return, nowadays there might be developers who are cheaper to hire, so you become commoditized, meaning they might choose other developers over you just due to maybe the cost, or the developers who are skilled in newer technologies but at the same time are cheaper to hire. In terms of the reward, development coding might still be rewarding to you, but there will be fear of irrelevance. And if you've already moved your application to production, you're just doing maintenance tasks, you might be there might be fewer new tasks being given to you. You might be working more on the routine tasks, more on the maintenance tasks. So, um, and this diagram, it's different for everyone. So you might have your peak at an earlier period in your life. So I know people who have been promoted to manager in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. Um, I myself, I was promoted in the span of 10 years. So it's really up to you. The pace is up to you. But the point is really to, um, when you detect that you are reaching a decline, you need to do something to get back on track, to make sure that you will still be able to enjoy your passion, but also be able to support yourself and be relevant in the industry. So what can you do to extend your growth or simply delay your decline? So there are many things you can do. You can retool as a developer. For example, from being a Java developer to becoming um, a, a QA tester or something like that. Become a manager, shift your career to something that you enjoy more and is also more relevant, and you are able to continue to help people, or start your own company. But for the purpose of this talk, I will just be discussing the second option, becoming a manager. So going back to the pyramid earlier, we can uh, simplify that into three main areas, and this is um, the things that I struggle with, the what I have um, apprehensions or reservations about becoming a manager, because these are the things that I thought were not really my forte or not in line with my skills. So if we summarize the pyramid that I showed you earlier, you can summarize it into three major areas. In terms of, number one, in terms of delivery, or managing the quality, the scope, and the cost of your project and your whatever you're working on. Second is the business, or basically the sales and the partnership side, the external relationships. And the third is the resource management, or basically managing manpower, managing materials, managing the schedule of your project. And at first, I thought these are very different, really, from being a developer. But um, after talking with my fellow managers, with my peers, talking to my superiors, I realized that in some ways, as a developer, I'm already doing a little bit of these things, and it's just a matter of leveling them up. So, for example, in terms of delivery, as as a single contributor, as a coder or developer, I am already managing my own output. So I need to make sure that what I am coding is in line with the scope of the requirements. It should have good code quality, and um, it should be according to the estimates. So in a sense, I'm already managing the delivery, but just at a smaller scale. I'm only managing my own work, and you just need to level that up to manage not just your work, but also the work of your team. In terms of the business, I'm already trying to sell my own solution as a developer. So, for example, during code reviews, when the team lead asks about why you committed this code, or for example, during the planning stage of application development, you are suggesting a solution, you are suggesting a way to implement certain features. In a sense, that is already selling, that is already sales. You're selling your solution already. So it's just a matter of leveling that up to sell to businesses, to establish partnerships, and so on. And in terms of resource management, as a developer, you are already collaborating with your peers. when you do peer pair programming, or when you do code reviews, and even collaborating on different modules of an application. So all that's needed when you level up to manager position is to broaden the scope of that, to manage your team, to manage the resources needed for your project, and so on. And in my journey from developer to manager, uh, my company actually supported me in terms of the trainings. So there will be trainings anyway, and there will be opportunities to be mentored by um, your superiors. So you will be guided along the way. And so, to sum up everything, I would like to encourage you in terms of three statements that I want to leave with you. First is, don't just be a programmer, be a software engineer. So what's the difference between the two? Um, as a programmer, you are just taking orders, um, you are just applying it in terms of coding. But if as an engineer, you are involved with the entire um, problem solving process. You are involved with the client or the business in terms of what they really require, what they really need. You are involved with the business analysts, the QA, the other roles in your team. You are involved in the quality of your work, not just in producing code. So this is already a step uh, higher, and a big step towards becoming a manager. Second is, be open to new solutions and don't be attached to the code. In my early years, like I said, I was a hardcore programmer, so I was really attached to my code. I really felt that my code was the most beautiful code ever. But it's useless if it does not solve a real world problem. So we should be more attached to the solutions. What what solutions will help our end users, our target customers or clients, and be open to new solutions, and be detached to the code. Whatever works, whatever solves um, the end users' problems, that is what we will go with. And lastly, push yourself to do hard things, even the ones you don't like doing, because there will be a lot of that in your journey from developer to manager. And you will not always like what you do, but it is what will push you towards more success and towards sustainability of your career. And that is all. Thank you for your time. And I would like to continue to mentor you. And if you want to connect, you can open this link or scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eliel, for that very interesting talk. So I hope you guys got or learned something from our speaker tonight. So we have a few questions here, Eliel. Let's start with this one from Kenny. Hi, how was it being a manager during the pandemic?
Thank
So
you.
how
Thank you
was it
for
like
that.
you were not able
Yeah.
to see your members?
Yeah. Actually, that's an interesting question. So back in March of 2020, that was when the fear was at the highest point. So we were not sure how to handle things, um, and to be able to ease the emotions, to lessen the tension, lessen the stress. Um, what I did for my team was to, during our daily stand up, or not daily, actually, maybe once a week, once or twice a week, we would do some some icebreakers to get to know each other more. And we try to make sure that during our daily stand-up or status reporting meetings, we always have our cameras turned on so that there is still eye contact. We can still see our um, each other's faces, our expressions, our gestures, and so on. And during the height of the pandemic, around March to maybe July, um, we also did some gimmicks. For example, we had an outfit of the day every Friday. So one time, I think it was was it July or August, the um, Buwan ng Wika. So we dressed up in barong in Filipiniana for our daily stand up. So yeah, that's what we did to lighten up the mood even in the midst of the pandemic. I hope
Right.
that answered the question.
All right. So I'm just personally curious. So for those initiatives, was that your parang is that your idea or is that a mandate from the company that you will be doing those kinds of activities?
So that was my idea for my team. Yeah.
So it's a matter of kasi there are a lot of people had a hard time, 'di ba, coping up with the setup because it's the pandemic and we are working 100% online. Like there was no hybrid setup before. So it was also helpful pala in doing those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was also a company-wide thing. Like, for example, show what your workstation looks like at home. So, yeah,
Parang
people had very
nakaka-pressure naman.
different. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eliel. Kenny, I hope that answered um, your question. There's one question, but I think it was already um, cited early. I think it was already discussed earlier. The difference between being a manager and developer in terms of workload.
Okay. In terms of workload, so I think I already addressed this a little bit in the first part of the presentation where I showed you the day in the life of the developer and the manager. But in terms of workload, so uh, a manager might be more on the uh, more on the meetings, more on collaborating with different kinds of people, with team members, with superiors, with clients, things like that, and they could be working on different projects, so multiple projects. Meanwhile, a developer, so depending also on the level, a developer might be hyper focused on like a single task, a single project. Although when you level up, you might um, be assigned more tasks and more projects.
All right. Next question from Christian. So, as a manager, do you still make time for coding or do you code on your spare time? Or siguro much better or parang follow up or additional question to this is parang how often do you code as a manager?
Mm, okay, that's a very good question. Um, Actually, just to share, I know of a CTO. He's already a chief technology officer, but he's still involved with the source code of his company, his team. So it really depends on your capacity if you can spend time with the code or if you choose to spend more time on the admin and collaboration side. Um, from my end, personally, I do still make time for coding, and that's also the reason that I also joined the StackLeague competitions. So every now and then, I try out the challenges, and when I get invited to the lightning rounds, I participate, even though I am getting destroyed by the newer developers. They're very good, Um, and aside from that, um, let me share with you a story. And this is the reason why I also became a developer. Prior to being a developer, I was actually involved in the semiconductor manufacturing industry. So the work back then was very different. I needed to manage the yield of the like the production floor, and at the same time, I was also tasked at analyzing the defects on the production floor. And I tended to gravitate towards the analyzing the defects because with that task, I was able to work with Excel and apply my programming skills by scripting VBA so that I can arrange the raw data into data that can be interpreted in charts. So even back then, even when I was not yet in IT, I was already doing coding, and that is what when one of my peers saw that, he recommended me to apply in a IT company, which is Pointwest. So that's what my started my career, coding scripts at the back of Excel files. And even now, I still do that, but this time with Google Sheets and Google Apps script. So um, instead of manually computing all of the metrics of the team, I actually do some automations at the back. So uh, there, I'm an automated manager, if there's such a term.
All right, thank you so much, Elia. So before we proceed with our um next question, you've mentioned, I think it was mentioned in the talk earlier, no, na parang somehow being staying as a developer or pursuing a managerial position is still somehow the decision of the person, tama. So with your journey from being a developer to manager, parang how did you decide na gusto ko maging manager, or parang I just don't wanna stay as a developer lang. I wanna upskill my career, ganun. Was there a parang a sign, or baka pwede mo ma-share sa ating viewers?
Um, well, I guess my situation is a little different. I know people who, when they enter into the IT industry, they are already decided that they want to be managers. I know a person like that, and because she was very decided, in 2 years' time, she already became a manager. I myself was not very decided at the start because I really wanted to um, enjoy being a developer. So as it's a slow discovery for me as I got to experience the different aspects of being a manager. That's how I got attuned to it and eventually decided to be a manager.
So parang there was a turning point, no, somewhere in your life na gusto ko maging manager, ganun.
Um, th- there's no clear turning point really, but anyway, the in your career there will come a time that your superiors will evaluate your next career path. So um, kumbaga nag-try lang ako. Maybe this will be for me. Parang ganon.
All right. Yep, we still have some few questions, but maybe we should go to our last one, which is from Raiden. Any tips on how to build your own development team?
Okay. Thanks for that question. That's a little difficult because um, there are some constraints. So we might be constrained with who is available you might be constrained with time, things like that. But let's say, given unlimited resources, you have to consider the personalities of the people that you want to put in your team. You don't want everyone to just be agreeing, to just be all be yes men. It's good to have people who have their own opinions, who are not afraid to disagree, but at the same time, you don't want um, anyone to dominate the discussion. So it's very difficult to have a perfect team at the start. So what you um, if you are like you have to work with what you are being given and develop them, um, mentor them, and coach them to perform and collaborate together to work well.
All right, thank you. I hope that answered your question, Reden. And as much as we want to answer all of your questions, but our time is limited. So, but before we dive into our announcement, Eliel, is there anything else that you want to add, or any tips or advice to our viewers and participants?
Yep. So it's all about going out of your comfort zone. I know that our identity is like really being passionate about code, about designing software. But when you go out of your comfort zone, that's when you will find opportunities and growth. And that's all.
Totally agree with you on that, no? So, that's the time that you will grow, no? Kasi parang nothing happens inside your comfort zone kasi. Thank you so much
Yeah.
once again, Eliel, for answering the participants' questions, and of course for that very insightful presentation. And we hope to have you again in our one of our events. And guys, if you'd like to connect with Eliel, I think this was already flashed earlier, no, you could connect with Eliel at bit.ly/Eliel Goco, or you could just simply scan the QR code that you can see on the screen. So there, once again, thank you so much, Eliel, for your
Thank you.
time, and hope to have you again in one of our events. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it, everyone. I hope you learned a lot from our Stack League session journey from developer to manager tonight. And once again, if you want to continue to connect with Eliel after this session, simply go to bit.ly/Eliel Goco for more information. And with that, here are the upcoming Stack League events and announcements. StackLeague Career Session, How to Land a Successful Job as a Developer, happening on July 13 at 6 p.m. Make sure to reserve your slot at bit.ly/StackLeague Career Dev. That's bit.ly/StackLeague Career Dev. And one upcoming event is our Stack League AWS Club Tech Session. Level up your coding skills, happening on July 27 at 6 p.m. Make sure to reserve your slot at bit.ly/StackLeague Level Up. That's bit.ly/StackLeague Level Up. Join Genesis Block's Breeder DAO Hackathon, a virtual blockchain hackathon in partnership with StackLeague, with 200,000 pesos cash prize pool, happening on July 29 to 31. Deadline of registration is on July 15, 2022. So it's time to form your team and reserve your team slot now via bit.ly/Breeder DAO Hackathon. Once again, that's bit.ly/Breeder DAO Hackathon. And if you want to launch your software developer career in 4 months with no prior coding knowledge required, be sure to join in one of our info sessions happening this July 8th, Friday. By the way, the batch 2 of our full stack bootcamp will start on July 18. Okay, so if you're interested, just simply go to stacktrek.eventbrite.com. Once again, we have an upcoming info session this coming July 8 on Friday. And get the latest updates. There are plenty of opportunities for you to learn here in StackLeague. Make sure to go to fb.com/StackLeague/events for the registration details and get the latest updates. To help the StackLeague team improve the sessions for you, make sure to answer the question form bit.ly/StackLeague Sessions feedback, or you can simply scan the QR code flashed on your screen. StackLeague Ambassador for July is now accepting entries. To earn your ambassador points, you can either refer to friends and family or submit your blog sharing your league experience, or you can do both. Visit bit.ly/StackLeagueAmbassador 2022 for more information. Also, make sure to earn league points to unlock the challenger levels and receive the prizes. Don't forget also to check out the StackLeague Lightning Series. Again, the schedule for the unranked category will be on July 12 at 6 p.m. For more details, visit bit.ly/Lightning Series Mechanics. That's bit.ly/Lightning Series Mechanics. And that's all for our announcement. On behalf of the StackLeague team, I would like to say thank you to everybody for joining the StackLeague session journey from developer to manager. If you don't have a StackLeague account yet, make sure to sign up now at stackleague.com, and of course, invite your friends and family who you think should be part of the league. See you guys at the next StackLeague event. This has been your host, Isai. Good night, everyone.